Okay. All this time we've been using the demo key. We need to probably stop doing that. Let's get started. We'll talk just a little bit about what we want to do. We want to start using your API key, and I'm going to use my API key, but we also want to make sure we don't accidentally check it into the repo, since I'll be pushing mine up to GitHub in a public repo, and you may or may not do the same thing. So I don't want to leave a kind of a foot gun lying around for people. There's a lot of ways to do this. A lot of times projects will want to have it, say, in an environment setting. There are tools to assist with this. Oftentimes teams will have it in as part of their CI/CD process. One thing I may do with this project in the future is just have the key on a shared iCloud database. And then another kind of like way we may go eventually is just kind of bypass the API, parsing the data ourselves. But today, in the spirit of keeping things simple, what we're going to do is much simpler than that. We're going to save it in a local JSON file in the apps bundle, and then we'll load it up. But if that loading fails, we'll log it, and we'll fall back to the demo key. And we'll also add a gitignore file to prevent it from getting checked into the repo. So you'll need your own file, but if you don't have it, it's not a big deal. The app will still run. You just may get some errors when you hit the network. So for starters, let's get rid of this get string and get pod, and we'll see if everything builds. It does. Let's run our test real quick. Not the greatest test suite, but if these pass, then we know that it was safe to remove that. And the first thing I would like to do is let's break out this URL into pieces. Okay, so we have a base URL. And then an API key. And actually what I want to do is right here, always helps to terminate those string literals. And we'll see, let's see if that works. We get a lot of layout errors right now. We're not worrying about those yet. We will get to them eventually. Okay, so we didn't lose any functionality there, but we cleaned it up. We have a lot less code in network. There are a couple of things I want to add for now until we spend some more time cleaning up our network class. And most of it is I would like to put in some print statements just to help us identify any problems that may pop up. I like how that does that. There we go. So here, let's just print request, debug description. And here we're going to replace this underscore with, let's call it response, because that is what that should be. And we'll print its debug description. And then we'll do something here, similar here. If all of that fails, let's go ahead and print our error. And that is slightly different. It's a localized description. I think we can just say, we don't even have to interpolate that. We can say like that, I believe. Let's copy that and change it to request and response. We might put like, I don't know. It's always a little junky, but we'll do this for now rather than dig into different ways to log this. This would be fine for now. So we can filter on the command line whenever we're running. Let's go ahead and run again. And let's filter by our emoji. Okay, and it does cut off the rest of the response, but we get the most critical part where we see we have a request which contains our API key, as it is now, and then we get back a 200, and then our response is truncated because we're filtering, but that's okay. I think it has served its purpose so far. So I think we're done here for now. Let's go ahead and create a getignore file. So select the main project and create an empty file of type other, and name it .getignore. And in the root directory, just make sure we're there and that this is unchecked. And yes, we want to use that. It's just saying that it's a hidden file. And GitHub is, they have like this great repo where they have getignore files for lots of different IDEs and languages and frameworks. We're going to use the Swift one. They also have an Xcode and an Objective-C getignore. Just copy that, hitting the copy button. And we'll paste that in. Typically, this file is not added as part of the project, but just to keep things kind of consistent, I'm trying to avoid using third-party editors at the moment. So we pasted that in. Let's add our file we're going to add in just a moment here that we do not want added to our Git repo, and we'll just name it secrets.json. And now let's add that file, secrets.json, an empty file. Oop. Oh, I think I had a template instead of a file. Let's see, new file. It happens sometimes. If it looks different, just kind of pause and read for a second. I went ahead and checked targets. If you forget that, if you for some reason you can't figure out why it won't load, that's probably it. It's not getting packaged up with the app. Okay, so we've got our secrets file. Let's confirm that our getignore is working properly. And if we look here, we see we've added that secrets.json file, but it doesn't appear. Uh-oh. Well, we've got a beach ball. Let's see if Xcode recovers in a minute here. So things are looking good. If Xcode recovers in a moment here, it doesn't look like it's going to. There we go. Okay, that's Xcode 3.2 release candidate for you. And we're just going to make a simple file here. And in case we want to have some other secrets in here, we'll go ahead and make it a JSON payload. There we go. And we'll make sure we save it. And now we're ready to create a new model for this API key to hold it. We could just do it as a dictionary, but let's just make a model for it instead. So let's make a new group from select pod model and then create a new group from selection. We'll name it models. And then let's add a new file. And actually, let's just a Swift file. And we'll name it secrets. Actually, name it secret. Make sure it's added to our target. And we don't need this. We'll keep foundation. We'll make a struct named secret. We'll tell it to, we'll make it conform to codable, and it'll have one property named API key of type string. And I like to hit build. I hit build a lot just to make sure that things are still sane in our project. So we've got our getignore, we've got our secrets file. Now we need a way to be able to decode it. What we have right now, if you recall, we have our file extension that we can load from data, and then our data extension that will let us decode it. We'll probably in a future video, we'll replace this with a generic function. but that will be a different video, I think. For now, we'll just, each one will have to know how to decode its things. Let's copy this, because I don't feel like typing all of that right now. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Okay. We've got that. We've got that. Let's see. Let's see if we can figure out in network how to take this and replace it with our demo key from the file. So we're hoping that this shows up as our API key, which will that will error, but we'll be able to see that error in the log. So this line right here is where we're going to do our work. So replace demo key. Let's actually just do this. We'll do some nil coalescing, and we'll say file data with extension JSON, and we'll say we need to decode it to secret. And we want just the API key. We don't want the entire secret. And then we want, let's say, the description of that. And we have an error. It must be unwrapped. Yes. And, oh, we just need to move our parentheses. And so we're going to try to load the file. We're going to try to decode it to secret, and then we want the description of API key from secret. And if that fails, we want to just pass it the demo key. Okay, so we see it loaded up the API key, so that's great. We get a 403. Which, if you want to look at the rest of that payload, we have it here, invalid key. So probably at some point in the future, we will handle this a little more cleanly. But this is pretty great, what we have right now. We can see what's going wrong if we have a problem with our network. I would encourage you to, if you haven't done so already, I'll provide the link in the comments area or the description area for the video, where you can go and grab your own API key, put it here. You know, it's certainly not a perfect solution. Like I was saying, there's drawbacks to every which way. Let me show you one big drawback here. Let's look inside our derived data, build, products, and finally our app. We'll show package contents. And we're going to see some stuff, a couple of things here. One, we see our secrets file. So that's not so great, right? And then we see our NASA script. That's hardly necessary to ship that, right? So I think we can probably do this and just remove that from the target. And these, we'll cover how to get rid of these in a separate video. I think today this has been pretty good. And once again, before you commit, just make sure that your secrets file, secrets.json file, is not part of the repo. And I'm just going to say added API key secrets, and that'll be it. Yes, that looks good. Okay, and I'm not sure what we'll cover next time. It may be something, we'll try to keep it short and sweet next time.